If you've been contemplating getting a tablet for university, especially for medical school, and you're on a really tight budget, then you've probably been contemplating either the iPad 8th generation or the Samsung Tab S6 Lite. And while both of these are really great options for a budget price, there is only one which is right for you. Stick around to find out which one that is. If you've watched a lot of other medical students on YouTube, a lot of them recommend getting an iPad for your note-taking. And while on paper, the iPad beats the Tab S6 Lite in almost all aspects, the Tab S6 Lite has a few unique features which gives it an edge over the iPad. Now, I'm going to preface this video by saying that my verdict is completely my opinion, and which device you end up getting is going to depend on your budget, what devices you currently have, and your priorities regarding this device. When it comes to performance, the iPad has the advantage here, as the A12 Bionic chip completely floors the Exynos 9611 on the Tab S6 Lite. Now, that's not to say the Tab S6 Lite performs terribly, but the iPad is going to be faster and more snappy than the Tab S6 Lite. And if you want more details on just how well the Tab S6 Lite performs, then stay tuned to the end of the video. When it comes to multitasking, the iPad only has 3 GB of RAM, whereas the Tab S6 Lite comes with 4, which means theoretically, the Tab S6 Lite should be able to keep more apps open in the background. However, practically, this wouldn't be the case, as the more apps you leave open in the background, the slower the tablet runs. So in terms of RAM, it's pretty much a draw, but when it comes to the overall performance, the iPad is your clear winner. Another very important thing to consider when choosing between tablets is the media consumption experience. As a medical student, you're most likely going to be watching a lot of YouTube videos, and you need a decent viewing experience. Once again, on paper, the iPad seems to offer the better viewing experience with its 10.2-inch IPS LCD display, which gives a nice color reproduction and plenty of sharpness at 1620 by 2160 pixels. The Tab S6 Lite, on the other hand, offers a slightly less premium 10.4-inch TFT display, which does a decent job nonetheless, but it also has a lower resolution than the iPad at 1200 by 2000 pixels. So in terms of display, the iPad takes the cake as well, but there's one area which the Tab S6 Lite's display is better, and that's when it comes to the size of the bezels, as the bezels on the top and bottom of the iPad are significantly thicker than that on the Tab S6 Lite. And while we're on the topic of appearance, let's talk about the design of these devices. Both devices have screens made of Gorilla Glass and aluminum frames and backs. The sides and back of the Tab S6 Lite are flattened, while those of the iPad are a bit curved. They're both rocking a single camera lens on the back with no flash. I prefer the design on the Tab S6 Lite as it looks more modern with the slimmer bezels, and it lets you magnetically attach your S Pen to the side of the tablet, much like on the iPad Pro. And speaking of the S Pen, let's talk about the part of the video I'm sure you've all been waiting for: the note-taking experience on these devices. But before that, a subscription to the channel would be noteworthy. Off the bat, writing on the iPad feels a bit better since the Apple Pencil is bigger and heavier than the S Pen, making it feel like an actual pen. The tip is smooth.
That's what she said!
And glides along the screen effortlessly. It also has extra features like full pressure sensitivity, tilt control, and it has low latency, of course. Now, in comparison to all this, the S Pen seems like a glorified 2B pencil, but it does have one major advantage over the Apple Pencil, and that's the fact that the S Pen comes included with the Tab S6 Lite, as opposed to the Apple Pencil, which you need to buy separately. If you're on a really tight budget and you need a tablet that already has everything you need included in the box, then the Tab S6 Lite is the one to get. And the S Pen isn't bad by any means as well. It also has pretty low latency. It doesn't need to be charged, unlike the Apple Pencil 1, which is the only Apple Pencil that works with the iPad 8th. Unlike the Apple Pencil 1, which is the only Apple Pencil that works with the iPad 8, by the way, which needs to be charged via the Lightning port of your iPad. I mean, look at this. Look at this design. Whoever thought this was a good idea needs to be interrogated, because that's just it's an accident waiting to happen. The S Pen has a button which, when held down while note-taking, gives you quick access to the eraser, and when pressed close to the screen, gives you access to the S Pen menu. And if you're still watching at this point, leave a comment with the word tablet so I know you made it this far in the video. And while we're still talking about note-taking, of course, there are so many different apps that can be used for taking your notes. Unarguably, some of the best apps for note-taking are available just for the iPad. Apps like Notability, for example. But the app you use doesn't really matter that much, be it Apple Notes or Samsung Notes, as having your notes taken on these devices will be a very enjoyable experience. I use Samsung Notes to take all the notes on my tablet, and I haven't had anything to complain about. It's feature rich enough, and it gets the job done. The very same thing can be said about Apple Notes. So when it comes to which apps you can use for note taking, I would say it's a draw. It's leaning more towards the iPad with Notability and all of that, but you have a lot of alternatives on the Samsung Tab as well. Now back to the topic of buttons. I'm sure you've noticed the home button on the front of the iPad. A lot of people seem to prefer this to the gesture-based navigation on newer Apple products. It also doubles as your method of biometric authentication with Apple's famous Touch ID, which is a fast, reliable, and secure means of signing into your iPad. The Tab S6 Lite, on the other hand, only has 2D recognition using the selfie camera, which isn't very secure and doesn't work well in poor lighting conditions. But speaking about cameras, both cameras aren't great for anything other than scanning documents. However, both the Tab S6 Lite and the iPad can record video at up to 1080p at 30 frames per second, but the iPad can go up to 1080p at 120 frames per second. All in all, I'd say it's a draw with regards to the cameras, and you're better off just using your smartphone to take your pictures and videos. Both devices also have pretty great battery life and can be found at around the same price point now depending on where you check. So to recap, the iPad wins in terms of performance, display, biometrics, and the versatility of the Apple Pencil. However, the Samsung Tab S6 Lite takes the cake in terms of design and value as it comes with a free stylus. Let me know your thoughts on these devices in the comment section right below the like button, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. My name is Johannes, this is Tech PhD, and I'll see you in one of the videos showing on the screen, right around everywhere here. So yeah, see you in the next video. Peace.